It's the news at 10 and we're live on NTA News 24, reaching you from Abuja. I'm Comfort Amodu. The headlines.
Ready to go ahead. Be remorseful for what they have done in the past and live better lives within these 40 days.
Christians observe Ash Wednesday, marking the beginning of Lenten season, 4th day, as clerics harp on spiritual renewal.
Truth and fairness is more important than ever.
Minister of Information and National Orientation assures Nigerians 2025 budget serves as roadmap to achieving economic stability. And a bill to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act 2004 passes second reading, enlarges administrative structure to include technical institutions.
Jointly improve gender responsive budgeting, particularly at the basic education level.
UBEC receives Connected Development Codes, collaborates to strengthen basic education, plans to return out-of-school children to school. Christians today converged on various denominations to observe Ash Wednesday. The day marks the beginning of the 4th day Lenten season, which leads to Easter. It is a time of spiritual preparation, reflection, and renewal. Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of the journey towards Easter, which celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Have done in the past and live better lives within these 40 days. And always remember that the church has actually 3 pillars for the celebration of this season. First is prayer, intensify it. Fasting, intensify it. Almsgiving, intensify it. It doesn't mean that it is only this season that we do all these things. We do them always, but we must intensify them within this season.
Physically, dust we are, and dust we shall all return back to, as signified by the ashes we have on our forehead. This period is one period that every Catholic should reflect on the need to do good, the need to serve Christ and humanity, and above all, the need to reach out to the less privileged.
The ashes used on the forehead are palm branches of the previous year's Palm Sunday, representing the ashes of repentance, reminding mankind of mortality and the need for spiritual renewal. Our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed Shamsuddin Babatunde Ogunjimi as the new Accountant General of the Federation after a rigorous selection process. A statement by Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, says his appointment takes effect from 7th March 2025. On the same day, the incumbent Oluwatoyin Made will retire. Ogunjimi, 57, was first named as Made's successor last December. A selection committee later chose him through a competitive, rigorous and merit-based process involving directors of accounts in federal civil service. The committee conducted the process through 3 stages: a written assessment, an ICT proficiency test, and oral interviews. The selection process underscores President Tinubu's commitment to promoting transparency, excellence, and competence in key public service positions. Ogunjimi graduated from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 1990 with a Bachelor of Science in Accountancy. He also obtained a Master's in Accounting and Finance from the University of Lagos. He's a Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. President Tinubu congratulates Ogunjimi on his appointment and asks and urges him to discharge his duties in the service of Nigeria with integrity, professionalism, and dedication to Nigerians' service. The 2025 budget of 5.499 trillion naira is not just a financial document. It is a bold statement of intent to a roadmap for economic resilience, social stability, and national progress. This is the assurance from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at the ongoing ministerial press briefing in Abuja. Saliu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
The Honorable Minister of Information.
This is the third session in the year 2025. The government's image promoter sets the ball rolling and expressed confidence that this is a deliberate multimedia platform for open engagement on the policies and programs of the government.
In an era where misinformation and sensationalism can easily distort public perception, your commitment to truth and fairness is more important than ever.
In the year 2025, he insisted Nigerians will enjoy the fruit of the transformative reforms initiated by President Tinubu's administration.
Already, we are witnessing a gradual reduction in prices of foodstuff, which is bringing much needed relief to our people. The budget has demonstrated a renewed focus on security, infrastructure, education, health, soil minerals, agriculture, and other key areas that have a direct impact on the well-being and the socio-economic development of our country.
As an important pillar in the democratic development, the media has been reminded to uphold professionalism and avoid sensationalism.
We will continue to bring ministers here to engage with you, to let you know what government or this administration is doing. This is the job of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation. We don't construct roads here, we don't build hospitals, but we talk and we engage, and that's exactly what we are doing.
As you heard it from the Honorable Minister, this role the ministry has been performing in order to enable the ministry say it as it is, as so far 28 out of the 47 ministers have appeared in this series of briefings. From the National Press Center in Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
And for ease of doing business, the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is set to bring in more than $50 billion worth of investment into the country. This is as efforts are being intensified towards improving the ease of doing business and resuscitation of industries across the country. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Jumoke Oduwole, alongside Minister of State Industry, made the revelation at the ongoing ministerial briefing in Abuja. Benny Adams reports.
I had the privilege of having a successful WTO trade review in November as well. This happens once every 7 years.
The leadership of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment says it is making giant strides in facilitating the creation of wealth, productive jobs and shared prosperity for all Nigerians. This, they say, is being achieved through the implementation of a comprehensive trade, investment and industrial policy. In tracking progress being made, the minister revealed that out of the many foreign trips embarked upon by the present administration, in addition to hosting 6 state visits, Nigeria has signed 87 memorandum of understanding with 26 countries worth more than $50 billion, with the most significant being with China, Germany and India.
Our role is to handhold those businesses, to support them in whatever incentives are possible for them, and to bring that money home. Around the world, this is how it goes. When the investment announcements, that means they're indicating that they've seen something that they like in your economy and they want to come in. But before capital comes in, capital is really a coward. We need to make sure that those comforts are put in place, and that's the work of this ministry, and we continue to strive to do that.
On the industrial front, while efforts are on to revive the moribund industries, funds are being injected to boost capacity of existing ones.
One of the things that government and the ministry is currently looking at and pursuing is on how to get our manufacturers to benefit from an appropriate, pricing of gas.
So far, out of the 50 billion naira grants to small businesses, the Bank of Industry says it has disbursed 42.5 billion naira to 850,099 beneficiaries, with rural businesses getting 577.1 million naira to 93 beneficiaries. While 38 beneficiaries have also benefited 28.5 billion naira from the 75 billion Presidential Manufacturing Support Fund. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Now to the House of Representatives, where the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas is seeking the support of United Kingdom's Parliament in promoting gender balance in Nigeria's legislature. He stated this when he received some British parliamentarians, including Nigeria-born Kate Ofunne-Osamoah, on a collaborative visit at the National Assembly. He told the UK legislators that the 10th House is diverse in political party representation and also gives priority to issues of women and youth representation.
Particularly to the women committees, and ensuring that we don't leave one single woman representative without a key leadership position in the House, so that they can use their platform to actually advance the cause of women. And it will also interest you to know that we have passed so many legislation, and we have passed some bills and as well as constitutional amendments, and ensuring that this time around we want to make sure that this is the decisive term where women inclusion will be taken seriously.
But also to exchange and to share notes. There is a lot of work that we need to do within our political parties. The structures are very, very powerful. Within those structures, we can open up space. And as a country, if we get more women in politics, the whole country will benefit.
The Speaker assured the delegation that the House, under his leadership, will play a decisive role in achieving gender parity in the legislature. And a bill to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act of 2004 has passed second reading in the House of Representatives. The proposed legislation seeks to review and enlarge the administrative structure of the Council of Polytechnics to include technical institutions. National Assembly correspondent Meet Tyre Ikpen reports on these and other resolutions at Tuesday's plenary.
Plenary begins with the admittance of visiting British parliamentarians into the hallowed chamber to observe proceedings. The Federal Polytechnics Act Amendment Bill is seeking inclusion of representatives of the National Board for Technical Education and the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria in the council of every polytechnic. The bill is part of the quest by the National Board for Technical Education to abolish the dichotomy between higher national diploma and bachelor's degree in the workplace.
We should move for the abolishment of HND, and in place of it to have Bachelor of Technology as a replacement, so that at least graduates of polytechnics will be able to compete hand in hand with other universities.
Passing other resolutions, the House moved against a proposed increase in pay TV subscriptions, pending the outcome of an investigation.
The House resolves to call on MultiChoice to suspend their proposed increase in subscription prices in Nigeria, pending exhaustive investigations.
The need to curb the menace of farmer-header clashes was emphasized to avert further loss of lives.
We need to address the killing of a vigilante member, Mr. Ogonegbu Chukwunam Nazuba, alleged headers in Obiaruku, Okwani local government area of Delta State, and the escalating header farmer clashes in southern Nigeria.
The failure to act swiftly has emboldened the perpetrators, leading to increased attacks. Urge the federal government to take immediate and decisive steps to address the security and agricultural crisis in Ogumaki, Gambari Reserve and the environs.
Meanwhile, at an interactive session at the Defense Headquarters Abuja, the House of Representatives resolved to work with the Military High Command towards curbing the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the country.
By pooling our resources, expertise, knowledge, we can develop an innovative solution to the problem posed by small arms and light weapons.
Murder is one issue that we have to address head on if actually we want to secure the country.
The House Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons pledged to explore legislative mechanisms towards addressing the challenge of porous borders. Mitairi Ikben, NTA News.
And there are renewed efforts to enhance education in the country. Details in a moment.
For all petroleum stakeholders, marketers, tanker drivers, consumers and fellow Nigerians, it is time for us to take decisive steps to end the untimely loss of lives and properties due to tanker explosions. Avoid scooping petroleum products or fuel during tanker accidents, because just one spark could cause a terrible explosion that will leave dozens of bodies and casualties. As responsible citizens, we must not risk our lives and that of others. So, please run for your dear life if you see oil spilling from a tanker after an accident. Let us all report tanker accidents and spillage to the relevant authorities as they happen. It is time for us to join hands together to put an end to these unfortunate explosions. Together, we can protect our lives, our future, and stay safe. This message is from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and Voice of Nigeria, VON, cordially invite the general public to its 19th annual Ramadan lecture. Topic: Faith, Politics and Power, the involvement of ulama in politics and its implications. Guest lecturer, Sheikh Maruf Onike Abdulaziz, Chief Missioner, NASFAT Worldwide. Chairman of the occasion, Idi Mukhtar Meha, Minister of Livestock Development. Special guest of honor, Muhammad Idris, Minister of Information and National Orientation. Royal Father of the Day, His Highness Mala Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, Emir of Zazzau. Chief host, His Excellency Malang Ubasani, the Executive Governor, Kaduna State. Host, Malang Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, Director General, NTA. Dr. Muhammad Bulama, Director General, FRCN. Malang Jibril Babandachi, Director General, Voice of Nigeria. Venue, Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Close, off Jabi Road East, off Sultan Road, Kaduna. Date, 8 March 2025. Time, 9 a.m. Inshallah. For partnership or advert placement. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
Thanks for being there. The House of Representatives has summoned the Minister of Education and other stakeholders in the sector to appear before the Committee on University Education to clarify the unease situation at the Alvan Ikoku Federal University of Education, Owerri, that led to the removal of the Vice-Chancellor. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the main actors who made the allegations against the Vice-Chancellor were not present at the hearing of the petition.
The hearing came as a result of a petition submitted to the House Committee on University Education by a group of professors alleging that due process was not followed in the appointment of Professor Stella Lemchi as the Vice-Chancellor, Alvan Ikoku University. It seeks, among other things, to provide accurate information and invite all relevant stakeholders to address the matter.
You can find out this petition, there is no any address to trace who wrote it. They are doing it to know those we know that will get fame in the southeast, in all those institutions. Their plan is all those institutions to collapse.
We must first look at the merits of the matter instead of in one fell swoop.
this is because the committee is worried that if this development is not addressed, the trend will continue to spread to other universities whenever a new vice chancellor is appointed.
Responding to issues raised by members of the committee, the embattled vice chancellor says the leadership crisis emanates from some aggrieved professors whom she accused of not wishing the university well. She therefore appealed to the House of Representatives to intervene.
In his own words, Prosumi Fekwem, the second person assigned the position, commended the then selection board of the council for recognizing the great talent of the candidate that came first in that interview, adding that that candidate, Dr. Mrs. Stella Lemchiden, my humble self, has shown great tenacity and capacity since her appointment as the deputy provost of the college by the government.
The committee resolves to carry out an independent investigation that will lead to a lasting solution to the impasse in the institution. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
And to curb the issue of out-of-school children, the federal government says it will continue to leverage opportunities and also work with relevant stakeholders in its structured plans to get the estimated 17 million out-of-school children back in classroom within the next 4 years. This is coming from the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, Aisha Garba, when she receives in audience a team from Connected Development Code during at the headquarters in Abuja, Tokwe Alabi reports.
Despite primary education being officially free and compulsory, approximately 10.5 million children aged 5 to 14 years are not in school. This number represents the country's about 18.3 million out-of-school children, with more than 60% of them girls, as their education is often interrupted by poverty, early marriage, and family survival needs. This parley between Connected Development Code and the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, is to accelerate progress, reduce the spate of out-of-school children through community participation framework to capture the voices of children, especially girls, living in underprivileged communities.
Irrespective of wherever fathers are, we should be focusing on inclusive education.
And the key goal there is to ensure that girls can be prioritized, and we could also ensure that they get 12 years of compulsory education.
That how can we jointly improve gender responsive budgeting, particularly at the basic education level? How can we also leverage on your strength as you work across State Universal Basic Education Board?
So we welcome you, Hamza, and we look forward to having a structured partnership to ensure that no child is left behind.
For UBEC's Executive Secretary, Aisha Garba, collaborating with the Al-Majri Commission will allow 10 million out-of-school children access basic education within the next 3 years, while Code's Hamzat Lawal believes government's adoption of gender-responsive budgeting education framework will address inclusivity gap.
UBEC, working with other relevant commissions and working directly, particularly with SUBEBs, will ensure that we have the necessary infrastructure, conducive learning materials, as well as environment to ensure even those that have dropped out, we bring them back into schools.
As we do this work, we must ensure teacher training, we must ensure better remuneration, but we must also ensure adequate funding in terms of the infrastructure that is needed. Every class must be conducive for children, particularly girls, because we know that when they're on their menses, without water, without toilet, they will not be able to go to school.
This advocacy is about strengthening Nigeria's basic education system through open government strategies, especially capturing voices of communities to ensure no child is left behind. In Abuja, Tokwe Alabi, NTA News.
And let's talk health, with the federal government promising to support a draft bill seeking to establish a federal government agency dedicated to sustainable implementation of malaria eradication and waste management in the country. Dennis Adegunle reports that this was at a workshop in Abuja.
Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, represented by Dr. Godwin Ntadom, National Coordinator of the National Malaria Eradication Program, emphasized that mosquitoes remain the deadliest organisms due to the high number of malaria-related deaths
adding that Nigeria must take the lead in vaccine production to eliminate the disease.
Scientists and researchers says the quantity of mosquito, the number of mosquitoes we have in Nigeria, they are 2,000 times more than the quantity required to sustain transmission. You know what that means? The Federal Ministry of Health looks towards working with the foundation in achieving a sustainable malaria vaccine manufacturing ecosystem in Nigeria and beyond.
Sponsor of the bill, Senator representing Delta North, Ned Nwoko, expressed concern over the malaria crisis in Africa, noting that the World Health Organization, WHO, estimates over 600,000 malaria-related deaths annually. He compared Africa's response to malaria to Europe's swift action in developing COVID-19 vaccines, calling for greater commitment from African leaders in vaccine discovery.
We can work towards discovering different types of vaccines for malaria. It could be 2 or 3 or 4. But the immediate implication is that if we are all giving vaccines, just imagine the fact that there will not be any more fatalities from malaria and people will not have malaria anymore. It is something that is achievable.
Malaria vaccine project really is on a trajectory to ensure that there is a resilient, effective and sustainable malaria vaccine.
If we expect foreigner, Western world, to come here, today USAID have been cancelled because they have been spoon-feeding us, breastfeeding us.
The bill is expected to be deliberated upon at a public hearing subsequently. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunloye, NT News.
In Lagos State, the government is taking the fight to eradicate malaria to the next level with the official launch of its Pathway to Malaria Pre-Elimination and Digitization Program, unveiled by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos. The program seeks to leverage technology and collaboration to tackle malaria. Joy Ken Abakwe reports from Lagos.
Lagos already leads in malaria control with a prevalence rate of under 3%, far lower than the national average. However, the state still records about 900,000 malaria cases annually. With the launch of the Pathway to Malaria Pre-Elimination and Digitization Program, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says Lagos would now deploy digital health solutions to improve access to quality care and eradicate the malaria scourge.
It is so important that we do not just take this for granted. Let us ensure that we can take this advocacy into our communities, into our nooks and crannies, and show truly, really, that once we have started this campaign in Lagos, it will go around every part of the city.
Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako, says the initiative, which is in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu, charts a path to malaria elimination, not just in Lagos, but Nigeria at large.
Let me use this opportunity to call on all stakeholders not to relent on their support towards this impactful intervention, which will contribute significantly to the drive at eliminating malaria from the world.
One after the other, partners, including representatives of the World Bank and the World Health Organization, highlight the benefits of the program and what is expected.
I feel that everyone is committed to really achieve this goal, which is extremely important for the future of Nigeria.
Indeed, when patients go to clinics and the doctors tell you that they've performed the test, it is your responsibility as a patient to see the test. Please ask for the test and take a picture of it and have a record.
Malaria tests were conducted for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the Minister of State for Health, with results presented immediately. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakwe, NTA News.
For more stories ahead, stay tuned.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their socio-economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
NNPC cuts petrol price to 825 naira per litre amidst heightened competition as banks stock ATMs with cash following effective implementation of 100 naira withdrawal fee. Let's join Vivian Eziadefe for more on business news.
Banks have started loading their ATMs with cash as they begin charging 100 naira for transactions starting March 1st. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) released the revised ATM transaction fees in a circular dated February 10, 2025. Under the revised fee structure, withdrawals from one's own bank's ATMs will remain free of charge. However, customers using ATMs of other banks will be charged 100 naira per withdrawal of 20,000 naira or less at on-site ATMs. Off-site ATMs will attract an additional surcharge of up to 500 naira per transaction. International ATM withdrawals will be charged based on cost recovery. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) has reduced the ex-depot price of petrol from 890 naira to 825 naira per litre. This move follows a similar price cut by Dangote Refinery, which reduced its ex-depot price by 65 naira per litre. The new prices at Dangote's partner retail outlets are 860 naira per litre in Lagos, 870 naira per litre in the southwest, 880 naira per litre in the north, and 890 naira per litre in the south and southeast. According to NNPC spokesperson, the company has consistently adjusted prices in response to market dynamics since deregulation. He noted that price adjustments occur regularly, reflecting market forces and ensuring energy security and a competitive environment. With business, Vivian Izadifi.
While Nigeria has made progress in assets recovery, stronger legal frameworks and oversight are necessary to prevent mismanagement and to also ensure returned assets have a real impact. This need was a key focus of the civil society's pre-National Asset Recovery Summit organized by the African Network for Environment and Economic Justice in Abuja, and Chineye Nwoye was there.
Gathered in this hall are key players who have come to strengthen their resolve in ensuring that recovered assets are effectively managed and transparently utilized for the benefits of all Nigerians. This summit takes place at a defining moment when issues of transparency, accountability and asset management are at the forefront of national and global conversations. In 2022, Nigeria's former President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the Asset Recovery Act.
Let us seize this opportunity to build a stronger, more accountable asset recovery and management system that truly serves the interests of the people.
The EFCC has demonstrated compliance with the Cross-Border Crimes Act through several key actions and institutional mechanisms such as we have established the Process of Crime Department, like I said earlier, which is tasked with seizing, tracing, and managing of process of crime.
The STAR initiative supports international efforts to end the safe havens for corrupt funds and promote asset recovery.
There are land-back repatriations in Nigeria, such as the $311.8 million recovered in 2020 for key infrastructure projects, among others.
We've had the 8 years of the regime of Buhari, and we just had the $52.8 million recovered by the U.S. from the Desiani illicit fund and activities. So the fund has been, so Nigeria has lost more than almost 12 years of the utilization of that fund without any profit on it.
It is hoped that these efforts to strengthen legal frameworks and ensure transparency in management of recovered assets will yield positive results. In Abuja, Chineye Nwoye, NTN News.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is partnering the French government to enhance assets tracking and cybercrime investigation and security training. Lieutenant General Regis Colombet, Director of Security and Defense Cooperation at the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs, discloses the partnership during a visit to the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Colombet highlights France's extensive collaboration across various security domains, especially in the establishment of specialized academic and training centers. The visit is a follow-up to a strategic meeting held in December 2024, aimed at reinforcing partnerships and identifying ways to implement more effective cooperation between Nigeria and France. He mentioned that France's security collaboration, which extends beyond military cooperation, includes cyber security, home affairs, civil defense, and broader security concerns. The chairman of the commission, Ola Olukoyede, welcomes the collaboration and acknowledged the necessity of working together to prevent and investigate cybercrimes, money laundering, and other transnational financial offenses. And in under development, a similar partnership with the Chinese government and the Commission is underway, as Chinese ambassador to Nigeria stated this when he led a delegation to the Commission. The collaboration will focus on investigation, evidence gathering, prosecution of offenders, and recovery of the proceeds of crime. Ambassador Donhai says the collaboration is necessary given the increase in number of Chinese nationals alleged involvement in cyber crimes in Nigeria. He reiterates Chinese government's commitment to ensuring that its citizens obey laws of their host country. In the light of the recent reports alleging that retired Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, David Paragdan, was kidnapped and subsequently killed, the FCT police says Paragdan was rather found dead at a hotel in Area 3 by a military officer concerned for his well-being who tracked him to the location, and upon arrival, the officer proceeded to where Paragdan was found dead, seated in a chair in a hotel. The Durumi police station was notified and officers promptly arrived at the scene, secured the area, took photographs and collected all relevant evidence to preserve the integrity of the crime scene. The body has been transferred to the National Hospital for necessary procedures, and staff of the hotel are currently cooperating with police investigations. Efforts are in top gear to effect the arrest of the last visitor to the location before he was found dead. Members of the public are urged to avail the police with information, while media outlets are advised to refrain from spreading unverified information, including claims of kidnapping, that may incite fear or panic. The FCT Police Command is committed to conducting a thorough investigation to uncover the circumstances surrounding Paragdan's death. An investigative panel is now uncovering some of the issues, including legal roadblocks that have left 70% of inmates trapped behind bars, awaiting trials that seem nowhere in sight. Victor Azu reports.
Centers are meant to correct, but what if the system itself is part of the problem? In Nigeria, nearly 7 out of every 10 inmates are not serving sentences. They are simply waiting, caught in a cycle of delay and uncertainty. Now, an investigative panel is pulling back the curtain on what many call a failing justice system. At the heart of the probe is a shocking reality. Magistrates and judges, the very people who should uphold justice, claim ignorance of the 2007 Act that governs correctional services. For Ibrahim Idris, legal lead for the Nigerian Correctional Service, this is one of the biggest barriers to reform.
Several commands have written to the judges, but most of them, when we present the act to them, they will say they are seeing the act for the first time and that they will study it.
For the panel's chairman, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, this is more than an inquiry. It's an opportunity to fix a system long overdue for change.
What we want to achieve is having correctional services, both custodial and non-custodial, clearly implemented in the country based on the Nigerian Correctional Service Act.
And with the Minister of Interior set to address the panel on Wednesday, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will this investigation finally lead to reform, or will thousands of inmates remain stuck in limbo, waiting for justice that may never come? Time will tell. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
More than 1,000 Kogi youths are to be trained annually by the administration of Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo through skills acquisition as part of efforts to enhance human capital development in the state. The governor made the promise at an empowerment program in Lokoja, where 250 youths went home with various empowerment kits. Ajibola Christopher reports from there.
The 250 beneficiaries of Governor Ododo's Youth Empowerment is to equip participants with relevant industrial skills and strengthen the state workforce. The training program is in collaboration with the Nigerian Korea Friendship Institute for Vocational and Advanced Technology, structured to provide young people with specialized technical expertise to position Kogi State as a hub for technical innovations. The training, drawn from the 21 local government areas of the state, received specialized trainings in auto mechanics, welding and fabrication, compressed natural gas conversion, networking and system security. Other areas are software development, solar power installations, cinematography, photography, fitting and plumbing.
At my inauguration, I promised that our youth will have greater opportunities to develop skills for innovation and creative enterprise.
Earlier, the State Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Sunday Falike, stresses the need for youth to embrace vocational skills.
You have just created a brand that will last beyond you.
And we have state-of-the-art equipment. We have well-trained staff trained in Nigeria and Korea. So it was just like a cup of cake for us.
With this innovation, Kogi State is poised to become a model of vocational education and youth empowerment in Nigeria. Ajibola Christopher, NTA News.
The supply of crude oil to domestic refineries, including the Dangote refinery in Nigeria, must be sustained and maximized. This is the appeal for concerned Nigerians who believe that relaxation or outright stoppage of these supplies would have far-reaching consequences, including creating a shortage of refined products, which would force the country to import fuel. The group warns that disruption in refining capacity would lead to petrol scarcity, driving fuel prices up, with consequently a hike in food prices, all going against the gains that are now being recorded from the economic reform policies of President Bola Tinubu.
Our group is calling on Mr. President and the Department of State Services, the DSS, to ensure that no one, knowing or unknowingly, does anything to stop crude oil supply to our local refineries so that the economy will never and will not be truncated. We salute Mr. President and we pass a vote of confidence in him for the impact he has made in driving Nigeria towards energy sustainability, especially in the oil industry, which has revived to a point where Nigerians no longer face harrowing times at the petrol pumps. These reforms must be guided jealously.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Here's another look at our top stories.
Go ahead, be remorseful for what they have done in the past and live better lives within these 40 days.
Christians observe Ash Wednesday, marking the beginning of Lenten season, 4th day, as clerics harp on spiritual renewal.
Truth and fairness is more important than ever.
Minister of Information and National Orientation assures Nigerians 2025 budget serves as roadmap to achieving economic stability. And a bill to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act 2004 passes second reading, enlarges administrative structure to include technical institutions.
Jointly improve gender responsive budgeting, particularly at the basic education level.
UBEC receives Connected Development Code, collaborates to strengthen basic education, plans to return out-of-school children to school. The National Chairman of Action Alliance, Kenneth Udweze, says the protracted leadership tussle rocking the party has been put to rest, following the Supreme Court's affirmation of him as the authentic national chairman of the party. He addressed the media shortly after the court's ruling in Abuja, and Timothy Yusuf was there.
The Action Alliance National Chairman Kenneth Udweze disclosed that the Supreme Court specifically dismissed a suit challenging the Udweze-led National Working Committee of AA for want of diligent prosecution. He stressed that one Frederick Igiwisi had appealed against the appeal court judgment that affirmed his leadership.
And the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, after waiting for this appellant for a very long time, considering the fact that this is a pre-election matter, this court, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, dismissed the said appeal that was filed before it, resting the situation that Action Alliance leadership is no longer in contention.
Kenneth Udeze said the dismissal has settled the leadership crisis in the party. The focus of the party now is the 2027 election, as there is no longer anything stopping it from winning 2027 elections, he emphasized. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Well, the Conference of Professionals in the People's Democratic Party, after an extensive review of the current state of affairs in the party, submitted that the party is bleeding and is on its way to self-destruction. A statement by the chairman of the PDP Professionals, Obinna Nwachukwu, said it was time for all leaders, stakeholders, members and supporters of the PDP across the country to stand up for the party at this moment and rescue it from imminent collapse. It added that the party is dangerously hemorrhaging and being weakened from carrying out its role as a viable opposition party. Therefore, they need to rescue it from perceived predatory grip of some forces. The conference assured the party of its unalloyed commitment to unity, stability and success of the party as it joined forces to reposition the PDP as a major opposition party poised to take back power at the center in 2027. A political activist, Comrade Timmy Frank, has called on the Supreme Court Chief Justice and a panel of justices who had the recent Rivers State case to ensure transparency in the release of the original judgment. Frank, in a statement issued in Abuja, noted that the issue of defection, which is still at the appeal court, is not joined in the judgment. And statement expressed confidence that the eminent jurist who delivered the judgment knows the issues at stake and will not fail Nigerians by ensuring that a check is put on all tendencies threatening constitutional democracy in the country. Two suspects alleged to be responsible for the 2024 boat mishap that claimed the lives of 19 persons traveling from Kogi to a market in Niger State have been arraigned before a magistrate court in Lokoja. Jonathan Omajali reports that the case is being prosecuted by the Kogi State Commissioner of Police.
2024, Kogi State was thrown into mourning when a boat conveying commuters, mostly farmers and traders, to a weekly market in Kacha, Niger State, capsized, claiming several lives. Following the incident, the National Inland Waterways Authority reported the matter to the Commandant of the Nigeria Police Force, Inland Waterways Headquarters, Lokoja. The report cited non-compliance with weather advisories and safety regulations, including overloading and the failure to use life jackets as the primary cause of the disaster. Subsequent police investigations led to the arrest of two suspects, Yakubu Dangana, identified as the first defendant, and Musa Dangana, alleged to be the owner of the boat. During the initial trial at the Chief Magistrate Court in Lokoja, Prosecution Counsel Gabriel Ogreji requested that the first information report be read to the defendants. The report stated that 19 passengers lost their lives in the accident, which involved a boat carrying 60 passengers. The defendants were charged with criminal conspiracy, negligence and failure to observe the general obligation to exercise vigilance, offences contrary to Section 97(2) and 196 of the Kogi State Penal Code, as well as Section 7 of the Inland Waterways Transportation Regulations 2023. Both defendants pleaded not guilty. Their counsel, Hussein Zakaria Labaran, applied for bail, which was granted by Chief Magistrate Abdullahi Musa Mopa. The bail was set at 100,000 each, with additional conditions that each of the defendants must provide a surety residing in Lokoja and must be a level 14 officer serving with a state or federal institution. The case was adjourned to 20th March for further hearing. Recently, The National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, intensified efforts to curb boat mishaps, many of which have been attributed to avoidable human errors. In Lokoja, Jonathan Omajali, NTA News.
And that concludes the news at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Comfort Amodu.